What's going on, people? Welcome back to another Player Ratings. I'm Dee and I'm joined by Patrick here to discuss the performance from yesterday. As always, if you do enjoy the video, make sure to hit a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. And also comment below your player ratings. And let's see if you're on the same page, if we're different. Let us know your thoughts on our ratings as well. Patrick,
yes.
Should we start with the main man that was the talking point last week, Jack Butland?
Should we talk about what you said before the show started or no?
No, let's get straight into it.
Let's get into it then.
We both gave Jack Butland a 9.
All right. Just so people know, he gave him a 4 about 5 minutes ago, and he changed it. He was trolling me.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I know you did. You don't do that stuff. I know. I get
it. Yesterday was a massive test for him.
It
was after that Millwall game, after that mistake. Yes, we won that game, but psychologically, as a goalkeeper, it can be lingering in your head. But yesterday, saving that penalty, saving some crucial shots. And it pretty much sums up our performance. Without Jack Butland, we'll probably, God knows what the result would have been. We were very poor. But for you, Jack Butland, talk to me.
He was really good. I mean, you have to give him a lot of credit because, you make a great point. The mental part of the game is so important. And the fact that, he talked post-match about the problems he had at Stoke and how mentally it was tough to come here. He hasn't played that much in the last, 2-3 years. And for him to come and put a performance, Millwall, last week was such the one incident could have lingered for weeks with a goalkeeper. And for him to make that great save on Trossard early in the game, then he steps up, makes a penalty save. Then just throughout the match, I thought he was good. The only negative, honestly, was the crosses, but that's just not his strong suit. But as a shot stopper, he's been really good. And again, against our biggest rival, to do what he did yesterday was brilliant. I mean, the 9 could have been a 10. The only reason it's not a 10, honestly, because we gave up a goal, which wasn't even his fault. But honestly, he was really, really good. And I have to admit, man, I wasn't sure about him. I wouldn't compare him to any other goal we've had, but he's definitely by far our best backup we've ever had in the Premier League. And I'm not kidding. I love Guaita, and I hope Guaita's back soon. But if Butland plays, I'm not gonna have a problem with him. And I've always had a problem with our backup keepers in the past. So a 9 is a very fair. And again, he just played really, really well yesterday, I thought.
Yeah, I'm happy for him. I honestly am.
I am too, personally.
The only reason why I didn't give him a 10, you didn't give him a 10 because of that own goal, which that was my reason. It was his distribution at times. It wasn't that great. It's an area that he needs to improve on. And I think he will improve on it. I don't know if he'll be a very high quality goalkeeper with the ball on his feet, but he can definitely improve on it. I believe that. And the question is, going into next game quickly, do you start him or Vicente Guaita?
If Guaita's healthy, you have to start Guaita. But if you start Butland, I don't have a problem with it, honestly.
Yeah, I don't. I start Jack Butland. I mean, he made a mistake and he redeemed himself in this game, so you have to give him the opportunity. Save the penalties, made some crucial saves. Looked comfortable out there, in all honesty, apart from his distribution. So for me, Jack Butland needs to start, and I like that competition. I want to have that competition.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
So I think Butland starts for me next game. Next up, Wardy, you gave him a 5.5. I gave him a 6, and people might get onto us about it. But apart from that run and that goal that we scored, which was just one of the best goals that I've seen in a very long time in terms of team play, everyone literally touched the ball and we just passed through Brighton, and it was one of the highlights of the game. There wasn't much after that. Wardy, for me, it just look. I don't want to keep saying 1 week, oh, he's good. Another week, he's bad. Look, I'm on this level that with Joe Ward, he's been great for us, and I think he'll still be a great backup. But if we want to move on to the next level, I think sooner rather than later, you just have to give Nathan Ferguson the run out. You just have to. You don't want to keep it too late. Now, I understand you don't want to play Nathan Ferguson in the Millwall in the Brighton game, but for me, Wardy, look at the goal that they did score. Maybe looking too much into it, but it was too easy. Too easy to run past him. And I don't think he's got the legs for him to be a regular Premier League star. He's done a great job so far. Don't get me wrong. But if we want to improve as a team, which we can do 100% based on yesterday's performance, I think the right back slot is an area that we can easily improve on.
I agree. So the positive for me is, Wardy gets it. He's been around for a long time. Yesterday, we didn't have Lucas starting. There's no Zaha. No one better to captain the team against Brighton than Wardy. So I get why he plays. He shows leadership. But there were just things in his game that are lacking. One, he doesn't get forward enough. So we don't get that support for Lisa, whoever's on the right-hand side.
No, you can't, though. You can't get forward because that's not his game.
Exactly. So his passing yesterday was very poor, 58% passing. I saw him pass the ball, at least he's 5 yards away from me, kicks the ball right into touch. I didn't understand that. on the chance that Trossard had. It was a very poor header by him to Cucurella. I don't know what he was trying to do there. Such a poor decision, and a guy who's been in the league for such a long time, 10 years in the Premier League player, basically. Don't know what he was doing on that. So for me, again, it was but having said that, the move, his involvement in the goal was fantastic. I mean, seriously,
through his head.
Prime Brazil as far as the team and Prime Brazil for him, because he goes from right back to left forward in a space of like 50-something seconds. So for me, credit him on that. But again, just again, but that's not what you expect from Ward to do that. So him doing that was a bonus. But just again, the basics I want to see from him, I didn't see yesterday. Again, you just made a great point before. I don't want to keep saying every week, great one week, bad the next. I want to just be either him be more consistent. But like we just said, what he was brilliant at yesterday, he's always been poor at. I remember Ham always said all the time, he doesn't cut off crosses. He didn't cut off the cross yesterday from Mope.
Mope,
right. So, but again, I don't want to get on him. I love him as a leader, but at some point, as you always say, we have to upgrade it right back. So,
and also, we don't even know. Look, I love Fergie. I like his style of play.
We don't know anything about him.
His age. We don't know much about him. So
exactly.
If Ferguson doesn't work out, which hopefully it doesn't happen, we in the summer we can say, all right, we need a new right back. But right now it's hard for us to tell. So it has to be sooner rather than later that Nathan Ferguson plays. Joel didn't have a great game apart from that goal that we did score. So if that's the case and others can get dropped for poor performances, then I think Wardy should be there as well. Mill and Brighton, I understand because he gets it. But now onwards, we've got Premier League games, we've got FA Cup game. Just play Nathan Ferguson. Let's see what he can do. Let him build up some match fitness. And if he can do it in the Premier League, then great. If he can't, in the summer, we definitely need a new right back to progress to the next level.
Want to add one more thing? Sorry. Go back to Ward. He actually had 8 clearances yesterday, which I didn't realize. So he actually, again, there are possibly games that are really good, but again, just things that you see. But again, this is not a kill Ward thing. But again, I mean, like what you said is perfectly true. So
yeah, with the 8 clearances, I don't know how they count that, but the clearances might have been because of the pressure. So it's not like there was clearances
off the line.
Efforts. It's more clearances rather than Brian pressured us, and we just literally had to clear it, which was our main problem yesterday. Mark Gray, for me, he was a 7. You gave him a 7 as well. There isn't much to add about it. He had a very solid game. Once again, he's one of our better defenders. There's no surprise about that. We literally say the same thing week in, week out. In the first half, he held it down well. In the second half, I did try and watch the highlights because the way I was sitting at the game, I was right behind the net. So
nothing hard to see,
One of the worst positions that I can be in the game. And so I thought he had a solid game. Is there anything else to really add about Mark?
No, again, 46 touches, 80% pass per completion. And he just coming on leaps and bounds again. I'm just really looking to see, the Gehi and Anderson combination get a little tighter, but I like the way he plays. And again, tough, situation away from home. The Brighton game, etc. I thought he played really well, very, very solid. Again, this close to a clean sheet, honestly. So good job by him yesterday. Very solid.
Joachim Andersen, I gave him a 6.5. You gave him a 7. Quickly, the reason why I gave him a 6.5 is because of that own goal. But apart from that, he had a solid game. And my real question is Joachim Andersen, have you seen improvement in his game? In the Millwall game, he was very good as well, defensively, I thought. We talked about him being a ball-playing defender and, as an actual defender, he does struggle at times, but due to his abilities on the ball, it helps us out a lot. Have you seen improvements in his defensive performance or his IQ, whether to go for the ball or not to go for the ball?
Well, the main thing for him is he's really poor heading. He had 2 headed clearances yesterday, which is for him is a big deal. He doesn't head the ball really well. I thought defensively it was fine. I mean, Mope was invisible besides, clattering into the goalkeeper for the VAR goal, and then the cross. He wasn't involved at all. So as far as their strikers, I thought Gehi and Anderson did a really good job keeping both of them quiet. I mean, Welbeck came on later on and did, was involved a lot more because they were obviously pushing for the winner, the tying goal and then the winner. But I thought both of them played really well. Anderson was solid yesterday. Again, the passing wasn't great. I'm used to him really pinging balls left and right. Didn't really do that yesterday, but that was really because they just pressured the heck out of us yesterday. They pressed us. It was hard for us to get the ball out wide. So, but I thought he played well yesterday. Him and Gehi together were both good.
Exactly. And Tyrick Mitchell, for you gave him a 7.5. I gave him a 7. To be fair, even a 7 is a bit... I thought he was a bit better than Mark Gray. Maybe he was. That's debatable.
I'll tell you why in a minute why I gave it to him. I'll tell you why I gave it to him. Right.
In the first half, for me, it's weird. Out of everyone, it seemed like they wanted to attack down that side and attack Tyrick Mitchell, which is the wrong player you want to attack, or you want to go past Wardy. And every time they did normally go on Wardy's side, they managed to get the better out of him. But he held it down. He held it down perfectly in the first half. I thought he was very solid defensively. In the second half, it was a different challenge for him. He had to face Lamptey when he came on. And I'll be honest, he's a player that I don't want Brighton to have. Just like I don't want them to have Graham Potter as well.
Right, exactly.
Them two players, I think
Quality.
he does make a difference. And
yeah,
he's very good on the ball. But overall, Mitchell, in terms of his stats, I thought he had a very solid game, and the stats kind of prove it as well. Ground duels 1, 2 out of 3, passing accuracy 68%. Maybe could have been a bit better,
right.
but long balls 1 out of 6. Yeah, I don't know. From the eye test, I thought he had a very solid game, considering they had lots of balls over the top.
Yeah, for me it was he got forward more than Ward, which is obviously true. But I think you know what was the key for me was him versus Lamptey. When Lamptey came on, I was very, very worried. Like you, I really, really rate Lamptey, and I thought that he put Eze, him being Vieira, on him, but he put Tyreek on him, and Tyreek did a great job. Lamptey did nothing when he came on, and that kid is a very good attacking wing back. He gets forward, he's got tricks, he's got flicks, he's got ability to cross the ball, and he wasn't involved in the game when he came on. And I thought that sub would have turned the match, and it ended up not even being a big factor because of Mitchell. That's why I gave him 7.5. I thought it was very, very good. At a key part of the game, when they made a sub to try and change the game, Mitchell did a great job on Lamptey yesterday.
Yeah, Mitchell is one of the most underrated.
Yeah, he really is.
We're reaching that point where we didn't, not that we don't rate him as a fan, but we don't really speak much about Mitchell because he doesn't week in, week out. But around the league, I mean, I was watching Marcus Alonso today. You can't tell me that guy's better than Tyreek Mitchell. That guy doesn't have a Scooby on the pitch. What he's doing, he looks lost out there. Yeah. So for me, Tyreek Mitchell is clear, and I'm happy that not other teams are going for him. Because
I agree with you.
At this point, I thought he'll be linked from other teams, but he hasn't. So that's good for us. Conor Gallagher. What? He's going up there. He's one of the top goal scorers in the league. I think he's out of the youngsters. He scored one of the most goals. He's challenging Emil Smith-Rowe. I think he's got more goals than Conor Gallagher this season. What a great finish once again. But apart from that finish, what did you think about his performance in midfield?
I think we're probably the best of the three. So again, we're going to talk about it last week. I have an issue with those three. Again, Schlupp was involved in a goal. We'll get to him in a minute. I thought Hughes was very, very quiet, but I love the fact he put a challenge in a couple of times yesterday on from Brighton play, which I really loved. But it was silly for the penalty, which we'll get to in a minute with him. But I thought Gallagher was very quiet in the first half. But you know what it was? Again, we mentioned it before. Brighton played the way we played against them in the first game. They really put pressure on us. They pressed us. They dominated in midfield, and he didn't get into the game. But having said that, not getting into the game, that was an absolutely fantastic goal. Again, I'm sure you know. Everybody on the pitch touched the ball. You know, Lucas headed back, started the whole thing. All 11 players touched the ball on that goal. For Gallagher to, if you notice, Gallagher goes on the right side with Ward, ends up in the box. Very, very smart. Doesn't get too deep on the goal. Stays outside on penalty box. Ball comes back. And what a great shot, because, you know, Dan Burns on the line. Dan Burns is about 8 feet tall. He hits it in a position where Dan Burns has to bend down and kind of hits it into the side panel. I mean, just great technique on the goal. Really, I mean, great play by Schlupp. Great ball. Great finish. And, I mean, had that been a winner, he gets a 10.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
So,
but I mean, really, honestly, I mean, you know, when we need a goal, it's, you know, someone like Gallagher comes through. It's a great goal. Again, I don't think he played great overall. I mean, you'll thought the stats later on as far as his stats. Stats were solid, and he was the best of the three. But I just thought it was a little quiet in the first half. But definitely came on as it grew into the game as it got on.
I don't think he had a bad game though.
No, he didn't have a bad. No, not a bad game at all.
He had 82% passing accuracy. Ground duels, he went for 11 of them, only won 4. Aerial duels, 2 out of 3,
which for him is good.
Which is very good for him. So he didn't, as you said, if we won that game, it would have been a different rate, 100%. Talk about Schlupp. We talk about him a lot on this show. And I just don't want it to get there, but it's getting a bit repetitive. You gave him a 5, I gave him a 5.5. The reason why I gave him a 5.5 is even in the eye test and stats, maybe done well defensively, tracking back and helping out. And I think that's the reason why he did stay on the pitch in the second half, to help out with Mitchell and Lamptey. That's why he went out wide. But for me, he's just not a midfielder. He's just not. What else do I have to say about him? What else can you say? He's not a midfielder, and it just messes up the balance. But then again, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. Before the game, I looked at the team. I looked at the sub.
You were fine with it, right?
Yeah, I was fine with it. So that shows that we got a problem. That is I didn't realize this, but you can't just rely on Kouyaté. Kouyaté can go in the summer. So what we need to do, which we did speak about a couple months ago, in terms of areas that we need to strengthen, that maybe right back, but in midfield, I think we need a solid defensive midfielder to push Hughes up, push Gallagher up, and then build like that. Just playing Schlupp there doesn't work. But overall, you wasn't happy as well. You said we was messaging after the game. You wasn't happy with his performance. What did you think of it?
Again, it's not him; it's the way he's playing. So we played a 4-3-3. He lost the ball 5 times in midfield. He had 65% pass accuracy, but he created 3 chances, which I didn't realize until I watched it back again. And he was obviously involved in the goal, very much so. But the thing is, T and I talked about yesterday, he cannot play in a 4-3-3. When we went to the 4-4-2, which is how we scored the goal, he's much better. He's on the left-hand side. He's much better being wide of a 4-4-2. You can put, let's say yesterday we had Gallagher and Hughes in the middle, and we had Olise out right. And then I think we had it was Ben
Gallagher.
Was it Benteke up front?
Oh, are we talking about the sub?
Yeah, when the subs came on, right.
God knows. I'm not going to lie. I didn't have a clue what was going on. That sub really annoyed me, but this is a player rating, so I'm not going to talk about the sub thing. But
my point being is that I know that he went wide of a 4 in the 4-4-2, and I thought, and that allowed free Gallagher up to get next to Benteke. Right. So the point being is that he just doesn't play one in a 4-3-3. He doesn't. You can't really play a watch on TV. But honestly, I spent like a couple of minutes just watching him play. And what he does is he presses by himself, which I'm sure Vieira tells him to do. But he doesn't mark around him. So guys are making runs behind him. I saw Trossard do it. I saw McCaskill make runs behind him, and he doesn't follow the player. So, which I'm sure he's been told to do that. But it just looks like he's not that he's lost, but his role is different. Whereas you just said when you have Kouyaté in there, it's different. So at this point now, and I'm gonna keep saying it.
Does that fall down to him? Does that fall down to him? Because why is it that we have that problem, and with Kouyaté, for example, we don't?
It might be tactically, like I said, maybe because of who he is, athleticism, ability to drive forward. Vieira figures maybe it's better that use him to drive the ball forward. At this point now, either we play Luke or we play Gyro, because to me it doesn't make sense to play a player like that who's not as involved. Play someone who's either a better passer in Gyro or better screener in Luca, and then that again would allow Gallagher to get forward more and then maybe get Hughes in a more comfortable position. But again, it's not a knock on Schlupp. It's just that playing in that position, he's not going to be effective. And what's going to happen is when Wilf comes back, he can't play wide left because you also have Eze potentially there, or you have Edouard. So where does he play? To me, exactly, he's an impact sub. Exactly right. He's an impact sub for me.
He's an impact sub. Geez, my headphones don't agree. Maybe. He's an impact sub for me. I just don't understand. Him playing out wide, we got better players there. When Wilf comes back, as I said, Wilf can play there, or maybe even. I'm not too sure.
But again, I want to be clear though. The play that he made for the goal was brilliant. That back pass to even look up and see. Because I must say he should have shot the ball. I'm not sure the angle would have been good. That same angle he scored against Norwich. But to cut the ball back to Gallagher, that was really, really good. So credit to him for that. Really, give him credit for that.
Will Hughes, 6.5, 5. You gave him low rating. What was your thinking behind that?
He was quiet. I just thought he was very quiet. He had only 34 touches, the least of the 3 midfielders. He had less touches than Schlupp. Remember we had a comment about Schlupp and Man United. I mean, 34 touches for Will Hughes is not a lot. It really isn't. I just thought he was quiet. It wasn't that he played poorly, and I know I gave it to him because of the stupid foul on the penalty kick. That's what it was. That's why I dropped it down from a 1. You can't do that, D. And I understand it happened on every corner kick, but it was so obvious. As soon as they pulled it out on the commentary, I said to myself, that's the penalty. They're gonna call that because there's no way you put arms around him like that. So that was the reason why. Yeah, that was the main reason why. It was the few touches, and again, I just think it was very quiet. But that penalty could have cost us big time. It was just silly for him. And he's a much smarter player than that. He's a better player than that. You don't have to grab. And again, it happens in every corner. You can call it, but you just can't be that obvious on it. So that's the reason I dropped him. But a whole point was that penalty was silly for me.
Do you think with the lack of touches, do you think that was due to just Brighton being better and us being tactically wrong in this game?
Definitely the way Brighton plays. He just didn't allow him to get involved in the game for sure.
I have to say, I loved his celebration. I don't know if you've seen the video when,
I saw it.
yeah, when he scored that goal.
Oh yeah, it was brilliant.
Millwall game, this game, he gets it, man.
No, he gets it. No, I love him.
I think he's he's a future Palace captain. I really want him to be a future Palace captain. I know you don't really agree with me.
No, I think Gahey is probably a better choice, but I wouldn't have a problem with Will Hughes in the future. Listen, he gets it. He gets Palace already, which is phenomenal. So yeah.
Ebbs' first start in the Premier League for God knows how long. Probably May.
May, exactly.
Yeah, last May. Yep. So I do know how long. So we both gave him a 6. Well, him out wide. It's just hard to, like, we didn't get the ball to the, like, even with Will Hughes, it's kind of similar. We didn't get the ball to them as much. But with me yesterday, Eze should have went to the middle. Edouard should have went out wide. And we should have put on Benteke up front. I honestly think that's what should have happened. He's better suited down the middle. But he did look a bit tired towards in the second half, and that's why he got subbed off. But for me, Eze, he didn't do much, but at times it wasn't really his fault because he didn't get the service, and we didn't play great as a team.
Right. You know what? Watching him play yesterday, he's definitely getting fitter. I didn't realize how big he was. I always think of him as a small player. He's not small. Like Lisa, he's a strong player. He's definitely, getting more involved. Again, his first start since May. He had an 84% pass. He had 34 touches. He's involved in the game. He had a couple of times. He had a shot that, we have to give him time. Now, I went back, watched it again yesterday. I went back again, looked at. I'll start in front three. Average 22 years of age. Eze's 23. Edouard's 23. Olise 20. We got to give him time. I understand that we want to push this and let it go, but you got to give him time. Having said that, I agree with you. He's not really a left-sided forward. He definitely has to play more in the midfield. He'll get more touches, more involvement. Exactly. So at some point, that's what I'm saying to you guys about people saying let's replace Gallagher. I'm saying Eze can do Gallagher's role next year. I really believe that. I really do, especially coming off the injury. Having said that, I wouldn't mind even seeing Eze and Gallagher in the same midfield this year a few times to see how that works. So,
Olise, 6.5 for me, 6 for you. I don't think he had a bad game.
No,
I just think it was similar to Eze's game. Maybe not quite Millwall because he didn't change the game himself, and it's too much to ask from him considering how he was playing. But for me, the talking point is, what on earth was that sub? Did he deserve to get subbed off? What was it that I didn't see? I honestly don't understand that substitution from Vieira. I just don't. Why was JP defending in our own box?
Yeah, I think he did it to kind of break up the momentum. What were our choices yesterday? We had I guess Kelly was on the bench. You didn't have Tompkins. You had Kelly. You had Riedewald. You had Klein. He could have. Put Klein on. Remember, put Klein on last week as a right midfielder. Again, it wasn't a great sub. I just think Olise he was quiet because obviously Brighton not stupid. They saw the Millwall match. You can see they double teamed him. At some point, they was getting triple teamed. They wanted to get him out of the game. They never gave him a chance at all to cut back. Cucurella's was playing left side. He was paying him for his right foot the entire time. Never really get him cut in. Then one time he had a chance, and then he was going to get a shot off, and then Gallagher got in his way. And he kind of like fumbled the ball and passed it off to someone. So it was a quiet game for him. But again, like I just told you before, the average age is so young for those three. You got to give him time. What I will say is the next player we're going to get to, I guess, is going to be Edouard. Edouard's got to play wide. So just get to him right now. He's got to play wide. Simple.
Give 6. What?
Because he's more, for me, he's more effective. I like him. And I know everyone, I know you really love him. But his impact for me has been much better when he comes off the left side. He can interchange with whoever is playing striker, mostly Benteke, and he can get more involved. He creates goals and he scores goals. When he's up front by himself, I don't care what anybody says, he cannot hold the ball up very well. That's not what he does well. He can drive the ball at you, he can create goals, he can shoot, he can score. Yesterday, I think he might have had like one touch in the box. That's how poor he was as a striker. That's not his game. I know eventually he will be the striker for Palace.
Or was that down to him? Or was that down to how we was playing? Did we create enough opportunities for Edouard to go and have them touches in the box? We had crosses in the first half, but to be fair, we didn't play great as a team going forward. We just didn't.
I agree, but
if
you play Benteke, though, he'll hold the ball up and he'll bring Edouard into the game. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I tweeted out yesterday, the thing with Palace with our front three is when it's Benteke, Zaha, and Ayew. What do Zaha and Ayew do really well? Get the ball forward and they draw fouls, right? So that brings it farther up the pitch. What does Benteke do? Holds the ball up, gets Ayew and Zaha involved. When you have Edouard, Olise, and Eze, you don't get that from those three. What you get is something totally different. I want to see what that is. That can be something different. But right now, I need to see a player in that striker position that holds the ball up that can get the other two guys involved. Because when you play someone like Brighton, and again, I'm not a fan of the team. I love their manager, and I like the way that they play. They play good football. They were smart yesterday. They possessed the ball better than us. They high-pressed us. They turned the ball over on us, and they put us under pressure where we had to get rid of the ball. So for me, like I said, he just wasn't involved in the game, Edouard. It wasn't necessarily his fault. But for us to play better, you have to have someone up front who holds the ball up better than he does. So,
yeah. And now moving on to the bench, there isn't really much to talk about Benteke. He just came on.
Right.
He had really anything to do. We was on the back foot by that time. Luca, though,
I thought he did
been
okay.
under a lot of scrutiny. Yeah, I thought he done okay when he came on. You have to give him credit when it's true. I thought he done well in the defensive midfield. He tried to close the gap. And it was a substitution which kind of did make sense at the time, considering that Brighton were, And I thought, he asked Vieira a couple of questions after that performance. Maybe, next game after how Schlupp played in midfield and how we talked about it, Luca, he might give him a go, considering it's Liverpool and they're going to be attacking. So I thought Luca had a solid game, and JP gave him a 6.
Involved in the goal, though. Very much involved in that goal. Helped set up the goal. So
he was involved in the goal. Towards the end of the game, someone tell me, where was JP playing? Because I had to say to myself, it seemed like we were 10 men. We had 10 men. We literally had no wide player.
Well, okay, so he comes on. Okay, so let's backtrack. Around 63 minutes, Brighton does their double sub, right? Or actually 56. They brought on Lamptey for Lallana, all right? Yeah. We're about to make a sub, but Vieira waits, all right? He brings them on like 63. He brings on 66. He brings on both Luca for Eze. He brings on Mateta for Edouard. Mateta then goes up front, obviously, to play with Eze, right? And Olise. We scored a goal 3 minutes later because, great build-up. Everybody's involved. Luca's involved. Eze's involved. Mateta's involved. Schlupp, obviously. Ward, etc. We scored the goal. At that point now, we're playing the 4-3-3. He brings on Benteke 81 for Olise, and then that's when it gets crazy. You're going to play Benteke up front. You're going to go 4-4-2. And you're right. He drops off Mateta to play like right wing, which makes no sense. But again, it was because I think the Mateta sub was fine. I think bringing on Benteke, he brought him on actually at a corner kick. I guess he was afraid of the corner being a goal. Was very strange. At that point, you're right. You're going to bring a defensive player or a midfielder. But again, we didn't really have. You're bringing off. Who was it? He brought off Olise. Who are you going to bring on? You bring on Klein again? I mean, that's what he did last week. People said
if you're trying to defend the lead, then bring on Klein. On the right side.
The choices are weird though at that point. So,
but to be fair, look, it is frustrating. We can talk about these substitutions,
right.
But when Vieira did first join the club, and I said this as well,
I
just think he's going to learn. He's going to learn on the job, and I don't mind having a manager who's going to learn on the job. Who's going to improve his, game management, his tactics.
Right.
I wanted to grow with us. And
I
part of the growing phase is stuff like that. Like, for us, I thought it was
100%.
ridiculous. It didn't make any sense. But for Vieira, maybe he will look back at it and say, maybe I panicked or maybe I didn't do the right thing. And of course, you can't get every sub right. But for that one, it's not even a case of getting a sub right wrong. It just didn't make sense. I mean, if you're bringing on Benteke for one corner alone, there's still about 4 to 5 minutes to play. You're just putting yourself even further back. What happens after the corner? Because apparently Luca was looking at the bench saying, "What's going on? What are we doing?"
Right.
And that pretty much says it. The players were confused on where everyone was playing. So the simple option would have been, go on.
Yeah, but think about it, D. We didn't have the sub we would want to make are in Cameroon. Bring on Zaha, bring on Ayew. I mean, that's what you want to do, right? Bring on a right-sided or left-sided midfielder. So we didn't have any choices. We had no one that we could bring on. It's not like, what if he brings on Raksaki and he makes a mistake? Because that could have been a choice, right? Raksaki makes sense to go in for at least a right-sided midfielder. But again, you can't bring on a 19-year-old kid away at Brighton, and if he makes a mistake, our fan base is gonna go nuts. But
no, they won't.
Don't you think so? Yeah, really? All right.
I
okay.
mean, we're good. Yeah.
I hope not.
I don't think so. Not with Raksaki, but look, it's done anyways.
Exactly.
Mateta made sense and he was involved, but for Benteke, it seemed like a panic sub. But
I
look,
agree.
that's it for this episode. Brighton won, Palace won. Disappointing considering that we had the lead, even though we didn't deserve it. To give it away at the same manner. It seemed like every time we face him, the same thing happens over and over again. It's just like the last minute goals. But it's done and dusted now. It's done and dusted. We move on to the next game, which is against Liverpool. As I said, if you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe. There should be more videos coming out throughout the week ahead of that game. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you to everyone who's watched this. And until next time, up the Palace.